20 sena ilu l-Belt ta' New York esperjenzat l-ar attakk terroristiku li qatrat id-dinja. Dakinhar tal-11 ta' Settembru tas-sena 2001 hawnhekk fi New York kien hawn grupp ta' żgħażagħ ħawċin u Brian Cachia li kien jaħdem fi Twin Towers.
Brian is my nephew. He was going to try going to school for music, but he also decided to go to Price Waterhouse, which is another stock place, buying and selling. He was there with them for a while, and then he decided to go to Cantor Fitzgerald. He worked in the North Tower, which was the one with the antenna on it, on the 103rd floor. Took a vacation, proposed to his girlfriend. Yeah, he met the girl of his dreams. He thought he was going to marry her. Everything was good for him.
Kella tkun l-esperjenza ta' ħajjitna din illi ġejna mistiedna bħala kor, il-kor Laudate Pueri tal-parroċċa ta' San George sabiex immorru nagħtu kunċerti ġewwa New York.
Kellna programm pjuttost impenjat, ġifieri kunċerti u attivitajiet oħra. Sa dakinhar kollox kien all right. U mbagħad niftakar illi jien u xi membri oħra minn tal-kor u anke ħbieb għax dakinhar niftakar ma konniex lajna biss il-membri tal-kor, però minn tal-ħbib miegħu, minn tal-familjari u kemm aħna l-grupp tagħna u anke xi membri oħra mill-kor konna ddeċidejna li wara li l-kor jinżel lura lejn Malta aħna nibqgħu hemm ftit tal-ġranet oħra, New York ovvjament. Post sabiħ u għedna ikollna 4 tiem jew 5 tiem ekstra illi nkunu nistgħu noqogħdu hemm u ngawdu din il-btala hemmhekk.
Dawk il-jumejn jiena rajt preżenza iktar qawwija tal-forzi tal-ordni. Tgħidli fejn? Fil-kantunieri, ma' buildings kbar, illi fis-snin ta' qabel jew ma tgħidx każ tagħhom jien. Imma meta tinnothom iktar minn darba f'dawn it-tliet ijiem tgħid issa fl-istess waqt ma kienx diffiċli li mmorru Twin Towers. Ġifieri jiena Twin Towers tlajthom on the 10th.
My son called, the younger boy. He said, "Ma, Brian was in that building." And I knew. called my son in California. He tried through, because he was in the Coast Guard. So he tried through his connections to see if he could find out about survivors and everything from the West Coast, because you couldn't get through the phones here.
It was all jammy.
Yeah. And when my son made that call, everything changed. It was like they had the TV in a cube behind me because they were watching it after they heard, and then they started talking about people jumping. And then when they found out that I had my nephew, they moved everything away. And it was the longest day of my life sitting there.
Waqt li seħ l-ewwel attakk, Gonzalo kien qiegħed jaħdem bħala skarpan fil-qiegħ ta' North Tower f'ħanut ta' familja Maltija. Sal-lum għadu bil-kemm jista' jemmen dak li jgħix dakinhar.
Somebody say the plane is crushed a building. But it's all the way up like an 80th floor, I think. And I don't feel nothing because I'm on the lobby. It's only the line making, like this, the line. And then I see the people started like running. And then I go outside, like 1 block away, you know. So I'm looking, I see the smoke.
Something else just hit. A very large plane just flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision. Can you see it? I can see it on the shot.
Oh my!
Something else has
you know what? We just saw a plane circling the building.
The building's exploding right now. You got people running up the street. The whole building just exploded some more. The whole top part.
And then I was outside looking like that. So when come the second plane, I saw how come the second plane. The plane come like this. When you want to go in, you go this way. It was like in the 40 something. It's almost in the middle of the building. So everything shake. And then, but nobody moved. You know, everybody shake. Nobody moved. And then after when I see, you know, the flame, everything, I saw the people how jumping from the 50 and up, you know, you don't want to get better, some jumping. So those days, I never forget.
I still have trouble looking at the people jumping because I knew he was on the 103rd floor. But I also realized from where the plane went in, he probably didn't, it probably was instant. But I didn't realize that till later on. So when I would see people jumping, I wonder, because I knew what he was wearing that day, I would just wonder, was that him? But thank God I know it was instant because of the way the planes hit, or where it hit.
Dakinhar ta' Settembru 2001 l-Amerikani ta' New York għexu ġurnata li għadha tkexkixhom sal-lum. Christopher Prokop huwa wieħed minnhom. And when one of the towers collapsed, that was quite a moment there. The devastation at that point was much bigger. Did you witness that?
I did witness that, yeah, I did. It was just like, I mean, even all these years, it was just so shocking. Just really unimaginable. Unimaginable. You know, just to see in 1 second to have the whole building kind of just disappear and be a cloud of smoke was just, the smell was very, very, very overpowering, very unpleasant and like thick. The sound, to be honest with you, I'm sure there was a loud sound. I don't even remember the sound as much, but it was just because it was just like really probably in shock at that point, you know.
And did you run at that stage?
I was on Canal Street, so I was still, you know, I was close, but I was within a distance where I felt, you know, I didn't feel under immediate, you know, fear that something was going to come flying out at that point, you know. But then, you know, at that after it collapsed, kind of just realizing, and then the police started coming in and really, you know, strongly encouraging people to, you know, to head back north, which is, you know, what I did at that point.
Anita Volpej kienet infermiera Maltija li tgħix New York. Dakinhar tal-attakki hija kienet xogħol fi sptar f'Manhattan.
I was working in a hospital in New York City in Manhattan in the upper 60s. I was working as a charge nurse in the medical ICU there. We're expecting victims to come in, so we wanted to make sure that we have room for patients so that they can come in and we can take care of them in the burn center. So we spent most of the day evacuating the center and close to like probably 10 o'clock and trying to catch snippets of what was going on because we were so intent on trying to like move everybody. You know, it was so crazy for us. And then they put us out. They put us up on accommodations for the hospital because all the bridges and tunnels were closed. So I was living at the time already upstate New York, so we couldn't go home. And I remember going outside at 10 o'clock at night, and you have this eerie feeling that the streets were completely vacant and empty. You could walk across the street, an avenue that has hundreds and thousands of cars, and there was nobody in the streets.
Everything was dead quiet. No traffic, no honking. Everybody drove like zombies. It's a weird feeling, you know? And we all sat around waiting for that phone call, hoping that he was found or something.
So everybody was so afraid that, you know, this is an act of terrorism. Now we realize it's terrorism. And, you know, what's going to happen? Is this something that is going to affect us? Are they going to blow up the rest of Manhattan? We didn't know. So it was we were all very afraid. That was such a critical moment because we were afraid, but we also wanted to help. We were also volunteering as nurses. I volunteered to go and help at Ground Zero. And they told me, as I recall, if we need anyone to come and retrieve or help out in any way. And that phone call never came because it was a retrieval, it was not a rescue anymore. And that was very devastating as a healthcare provider.
Joe Grech li dakinhar tal-attakk kien qed jaħdem f'Manhattan għex l-esperjenza mill-qrib. L-ewwel li ġieħ f'moħħu kif ra l-attakk kien li jixtri kamera tar-ritratti.
Jien kien xogħol u batuni Manhattan għax kien naħdem Brooklyn, batuna Manhattan biex nippikja x'affarijiet minn mis-city, 6th Avenue. U bought Manhattan għax it-trains wafqu. It was a bad tragedy that day. I took a lot of photos the first day, but every day I went there I took photos. Because between work, you know, you do work and then it's hard not to go to the site, you know, because we work in a few blocks perimeter, you know, from Canal Street all the way down. Everything was closed, so we boarded up stations. I remember inside too. We were right there, and even I remember when George Bush came down there, he walked on the pile and did a speech. I was right there in the middle.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you.
The first 2 weeks we were there every day. Sometimes if you can do anything, you try to help, but if not, you know, it's.
You felt you needed to help?
Yes, of course, of course.
What took you to decide?
We did a lot of work. A lot of our guys volunteered too. The first couple of days, you know, with rain and this, and they had worry of other buildings falling, alarms. Alarms will go while you're there trying to do something. Alarms will go off, and you have to evacuate and move a couple of blocks away. You see so many things, you know, over there. It wasn't a pretty sight in the beginning. Everything crushed, fire engines, you know, covered people, you know, it was horrible. It was bad. And then once in a while they find somebody through the rubble.
We all sat around waiting for that phone call, hoping that he was found or something. And we're still waiting. Actually, the coroner did call to ask for identifying information. It was like the weekend. It was a Tuesday it happened, and by Saturday they were calling and asking for identifying information.
Hope.
Yeah. Because at that point, we didn't think there would be anyone found.
And that hope, how long did it last?
Hope that they would find him? Oh. I can't explain that to you, but yeah, by the weekend we knew he was not there anymore. I remember watching different videos, like National Geographic in different places, that showed the firemen in the lobbies. And I spent the whole time looking over their shoulder, hoping I would see him. Obviously I didn't, but that hope was there.
Did you see any patients from the site?
No, unfortunately, no. We were hoping, we were praying that we'd have patients. We were already there. We were working around the clock. We made ourselves available to be there. Also, like I said, I wanted to volunteer. What I saw was a lot of family members putting pictures on our front door of the hospital. And this was not just our hospital, it was a lot of hospitals in the city. And they had pictures of all of the family members that they had lost. And these families were going from hospital to hospital looking for their loved ones. And it was such a sentimental, like, you know, we couldn't offer them comfort. They're asking us, did you see this person? Are you taking care of this person? And all we could say is no, because there were no victims, unfortunately.
It was surreal. In front of my apartment, facing out to 3rd Avenue, the National Guard was there, so I literally had a tank in front of my building. So if I looked out my apartment window, there was a tank there. Living below 14th Street was completely closed off, so you actually had to show, if you went north of 14th Street, you had to show your ID with your address to get back into, back to my apartment. So it was, I mean, it really was a war zone where, you know, you only residents could be there, and it was eerily quiet.
Oh, what of date? They Shinhudu over, the army took over. It was they made it ground zero. We had to go in. We still had to go in with a special pass that they gave us. To get into the ground zero, it was only a place in Canal Street, and you have to walk in. So there was no transportation there, nothing. So that's the only way to get in is you show your pass, you sign in, and we go in to do what we had to do. And then once they took over, they handled everything. To go on the site, it was only special people.
Because it was a toxic site.
Yes, but at that time nobody said it was toxic. You know, it was safe. That's what they kept saying. But even when the first day crossing over the bridge, all the people that came out of there, they were all covered in white ashes, dust, soot, asbestos, who knows what.
It's like you feel it, and you feel like almost you shrink within yourself when you feel it, because it was it was so strong. It's just it's so palpable, And you know where that's coming from, and you know it was, burning victims in the burning building, and of course it was toxic.
And a lot of my friends or co-workers, even my friend that used to come here, Tony, they all passed away, I guess I was a little fortunate, it depends where you go, where the wind is blowing or drizzle, keeps, if you're on the ground sweeping and breathing that stuff, especially without a mask, it was dangerous. People are still dying. I get myself checked every 6 months as well, and with the program they have, 9/11 program.
Inserta illi propju dakinhar tal-attakki ta' 11 Settembru, tajjeb, meta l-kor kien għadu kispiċċa ġimgħa u nofs ta' impenju u 3 kunċerti, ħafna mill-membri tal-kor u kien hemm grupp imdaqqas Ministeri żball konna fuq minn mitruħ b'kollox, kienu qed jirritornaw lura lejn Malta. Kien hemm min bħali estenda ż-żjara tiegħu fl-Amerika mar fi stat differenti jew baqa' addirittura fi New York.
U kif qbattu lill-ġenituri bit-telefon x'kienet l-ewwel kelma li qalulkom?
Għajat u biki, dak li niftakar. U provajna nikkalmawa lill-mama, ġifieri l-mama qabadna. Provajna nikkalmawa li aħna okej. Imma kif stajna x'infemuha li aħna okej meta huma kienu qed jaraw kollox trasmess live.
Traċedja sħiħa.
Traċedja sħiħa qed tiġri. U huma kienu jafu għax aħna qabel ħriġna mill-ħotel, konna kellimnija l-mama u għedniela fejn sejrin. Allura l-mama fil-filmati kienet qed tilmaħ l-Statue of Liberty. Allura femet li aħna konna fil-qrib. Kien mument vera diffiċli biex ikkalmajnija. Tista' timmaġina l-mama kellha 3 ulieda hemmhekk. Kien diffiċli immens. Imbagħad bdiet l-aktar parti diffiċli għax imbagħad irrealizzajna x'kien ġara. Bdejna naraw persuni mimlijin trapp għax aktar dak il-ħin tilejn il-fuq lejn fejn konna mexxin aħna. Ġifieri il-persuni illi kienu qrib ħafna it-Twin Towers u anke persuni li forsi jirnexxilhom joħorġu mit-Twin Towers kollha kienu qegħdin jimxu lejn in-naħa tagħna. Allura rajna nies li kellhom id-demm ma' wiċċhom, rajna nies li kienu kompletament bojot, letteralment mimlijin trapp, minn kollox rajna. Imbagħad rajna wkoll it-trakkijiet tal-armata li jimpressjonaw għax Malta qatt ma narawhom dawn it-trakkijiet għaddejjin dawk il-ħodor biex niftehmu, għaddejjin fit-traqat.
Rajtu l-ħajja f'Manhattan tinbidel f'ħakkatajn.
Tat-kexkix. Esperjenzajna xi tfisser tkun fi stat ta' gwerra. Gwerra li int ma tistax toħroġ minna.
Hekk kienet is-sitwazzjoni, però mbagħad l-effetti kienu koroħ. Ġifieri mbagħad later on during the day biża' kbir ħakmet lin-nistem. Jien niftakarni ma nixtieqx inkun razzista, però jien niftakarni illi pereżempju nitkellmu bil-Malti u n-nisa ħarsu lejna. Nejna nejdu, tipo, u bad darba niftakar kien hemm xi taxi driver, tipo, għalina they think you're Arabs. Sa jina mhux mqastar, ma rridx niżdema razzista, imma anke aħna spiċċajna kważi kundizzjonati kif se nitkellmu għaliex l-atmosfera kienet kera. Ġifieri kulħadd imbeżza, kulħadd jibża minn dak u jibża mill-ieħor, jissuspetta f'kollox u f'kulħadd. U di kienet is-sitwazzjoni, mbagħad spiċċajna niftakar lejl minnhom ħriġna mill-hotel kienu evakwawna, jalla ma kienx hemm xi bomb scare jew inkella tela ħafna duħħan illi allura kellna noħorġu. U wara xi la naf one night u laqas naf 2 nights. Spiċċajna ħriġna mill-hotel. Kellna problema kbira bil-flights, għax il-flights li kellna li jim ta' wara tħassru, ma kienux għadhom available, allura aħna spiċċajna m'għandniex return flights. Unċemplu, konna grupp kbir, ġifiri li baqa ma konniex 2 jew 3. Inċemplu biex naraw jekk nistgħux insibu flights available u ma kienx hemm flights.
Ara x'biċċa ġratilna aħna li bqajna hekk. Kieku qegħdin, kieku wasalna Londra diġà.
Wasalna Heathrow normal, ma kien hemm xejn, normal. Xejn wasalna fiċ-ċentru ta' Londra, għaliex ovvjament il-flight lura Malta kienet fil-għaxija. Xejn wasalna lura Londra, kien hemm ċerta moviment ta' nies jiġru, ħwienet bit-television qegħdin juru.
Dak il-mument irrealizzajt.
Dak il-mument dejna nirrealizzaw li qed tiġri xi ħaġa kif jista' jkun. Twin Towers fihom. Aħna konna hemm il-bieraħ.
U propju dakinhar filgħodu kont qiegħed fuq titjira tal-American Airlines, ġifieri wieħed mill-erba' linja tal-ajru illi kienet sfat hijack tajjeb, kien hemm żewġ ajruplani American Airlines u żewġ ajruplani United Flights tajjeb, u jien kont fuq American Airlines flight lejn Toronto. U nixelu television u inkredulu, ġifieri ma stajtx assolutament nemmen dak li qed naraw bajnejna hu.
Jiena ngħid onestament kemm konna lucky illi tlaqna. Għaliex li kieku bqajna hemm, aħna żgur li konna morru mill-ewwel, aħna il-lukanda kienet in-naħa t'isfel ta' Manhattan. Ġifieri bil-mixi ma kienitx iktar minn 5 minuti bogħod.
L-attakki fuq l-Istati Uniti fil-11 ta' Settembru ma kienux biss fi New York imma anke f'Washington u Virginia. Kważi nofsija wara l-attakk fuq is-South Tower fl-istat ta' Virginia ajruplan ieħor ittajjar għal ġol Pentagon li għal headquarters tad-Dipartiment tad-Difiża tal-Istati Uniti. Ftit wara, ajruplan li kien għadu kif telaq minn New Jersey lejn San Francisco inħataf minn 4 terroristi u dawar ir-rotta lejn Washington. Huwa mifhum li l-passiġġieri abbord li kienu diġà informati bl-attakki fuq it-Twin Towers issiltu mat-terroristi u niżlu l-ajruplan li kien sejjer lejn il-White House falqa f'Pennsylvania.
We received the death certificate, and it says on it, murder, homicide. And that hits you because you know that's what it was. You know, they can't put on their terrorism. You know, it's the New York City Coroner's Office, so they put homicide. Because you needed a piece of paper to release stuff proving that he was gone, you know. So it was about a year. It was a target at capitalism. All right, it was us, a democratic, a free country, being attacked. I know that there's thousands of years of hate for us, the infidels. But for me, I look at that and I say it was a 26-year-old man piloting that plane. It was a 26-year-old boy in that building that died. What happened in both their lives that could make this man hate so much to kill good people? That's what I take from 9/11. What in your life made you want to commit suicide and kill so many people, good people? Because that's one thing about 9/11 is 20 years later, we have to make sure people don't forget. Because it's not just a building that went down. It's not just 1,966 people, because that's just the buildings without, Washington and stuff. There were people behind those numbers. There were human beings behind those numbers. Families lost family members. Children lost parents. People can't forget that. They can't say, like a history book, this many people died and this is what happened. They have to realize there were human beings, people who had families left behind.
Madwar New York u anke f'New Jersey huma diversi l-monumenti fġieħ il-vittmi ta' 9/11. L-ismijiet li jidhru fuq l-Empty Sky Memorial f'New Jersey huma tal-kważi 800 vittma li kienu joqogħdu f'dan l-istat.
Today we've had a national tragedy. Two airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
Wara li l-kap tal-Al-Qaeda Osama Bin Laden ħa responsabilità tal-attakki, inqas minn xahar wara l-attakki tal-11 ta' Settembru, l-Istati Uniti attakkat l-Afganistan f'dik li waslet biex tkun l-itwal gwerra tal-Istati Uniti. Kważi 10 snin wara l-attakki fuq l-Istati Uniti, Osama Bin Laden inqabad mill-militar Amerikan waqt li kien mistoħbi fil-Pakistan.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama Bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda, and a terrorist who's responsible for the murder of thousands of innocent men, women, and children.
Inqas minn 3 snin wara, il-President Obama ħabbar it-tmiem tal-gwerra fl-Afganistan.
Tonight I can announce that over the next year another 34,000 American troops will come home from Afghanistan. This drawdown will continue, and by the end of next year our war in Afghanistan will be over.
Wara li fl-2014 intemmet il-gwerra fl-Afganistan, fl-2017 il-President Trump iddikjara li l-missjoni tal-Istati Uniti ma kienx li tibni demokrazija fl-Afganistan iżda biss biex toqtol it-terroristi fil-ġlieda tagħha kontra t-terrorizmu.
We will no longer use American military might to construct democracies in faraway lands or try to rebuild other countries in our own image. Those days are now over.
Fl-2020, il-President Trump qal fi tweet li sal-aħħar tal-2020 it-truppi kollha Amerikani kienu ser itemmu il-missjoni tagħhom fl-Afganistan.
We're bringing our troops back home. I got elected on bringing our soldiers back home.
Wara li fl-aħħar tal-2020 kien hemm bidla fl-amministrazzjoni tal-Istati Uniti, il-President Amerikan Joe Biden ħabbar li l-Istati Uniti ser tkun irtirat it-truppi kollha tagħha mill-Afganistan sal-11 ta' Settembru tal-2021. 20 sena mill-attakki tal-11 ta' Settembru.
We went to Afghanistan almost 20 years ago with clear goals. Get those who attacked us on September 11th, 2001, and make sure al-Qaeda could not use Afghanistan as a base from which to attack us again. We did that. We severely degraded al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. We never gave up the hunt for Osama bin Laden, and we got him. That was a decade ago. Our mission in Afghanistan was never supposed to have been nation building. It was never supposed to be creating a unified, centralized democracy. Our only vital national interest in Afghanistan remains today what it has always been, preventing a terrorist attack on America's homeland.
It-tluq ħesrem ta' truppi mill-Afganistan wassal biex fi ftit jiem l-armata Afgana ċediet l-armi u t-Taliban ħadu l-kontroll tal-pajjiż. Minn hemmhekk beda eżodu ta' Afgani li pruvaw jitilqu mill-pajjiż minħabba l-biża' mit-Taliban.
Last night in Kabul, the United States ended 20 years of war in Afghanistan, the longest war in American history. We completed one of the biggest airlifts in history, with more than 120,000 people evacuated to safety. As Commander-in-Chief, I firmly believe the best path to guard our safety and our security lies in a tough, unforgiving, targeted, precise strategy that goes after terror where it is today, not where it was 2 decades ago.
Illum, il-belt ta' New York fil-waqt li ma nsirx dak li ġara imxiet il-qudiem. Bis-swit fejn kienu Twin Towers inbena il-One World Trade Center li jissimbolizza r-reżiljenza u t-tama tal-Istati Uniti anke wara l-attakki tal-11 ta' Settembru. L-ola punt ta' torri huwa l-istess soli ta' dak li kien in-North Tower. Bħall-osservatorju li kien hemm fis-South Tower, il-One World Observatory joffri perspettiva tal-belt ta' New York mill-ogħla struttura f'din il-belt. Fil-post fejn kienu Twin Towers, illum jibqgħu żewġ ħofriet fġieħ il-vittmi kollha taż-żewġ attakki fuq il-World Trade Center fl-1993 u fl-2001. Is-simboli tal-libertà madwar New York jirrappreżentaw il-valuri tal-libertà, id-demokrazija u s-suq ħieles li huma l-qofol tal-Istati Uniti u d-dinja tal-Punent. Tal-11 ta' Settembru kienu mirati li jirdu fost l-aktar binijiet sinifikanti għall-Istati Uniti. Fil-waqt li l-attakki waslu għal numru ta' tibdiliet ewlenin fosthom is-sigurtà fl-ajruporti madwar id-dinja, il-mira ħarija tal-attakki tal-11 ta' Settembru baqgħet ma tlaħqitx għax il-belt ta' New York, l-Istati Uniti flimkien mad-dinja tal-Punent għadhom iħadnu l-valuri tal-libertà, id-drittijiet tal-bniedem, id-demokrazija u s-suq ħieles. dan huwa dak li simbolizzaw l-ikoni tal-Statue of Liberty u l-One World Trade Center fil-Belt ta' New York.
Kważi 20 sena wara, il-Belt ta' New York reġgħet intlaqtet minn traċedja oħra kif il-pandemija tal-Covid f'din il-belt swit il-ħajja ta' aktar minn 30,000 ruħ. Madankollu, l-attakki terroristiċi tal-11 ta' Settembru jibqgħu ġerħa miftuħa kemm għall-Istati Uniti kif ukoll għall-bqija tad-dinja.
I am very honest. I never go to see the new tour. I don't go. I don't know if I'm scared or something, but I don't go to see. You know, before that, almost every week I go to upstairs to see, the city. But now, no more.
It was a very awful, time-changing period in a lot of Americans' lives. It changed things forever.
Sometimes when I see the building, so I feel like nervous, but that's 20 years already next month. But it's still in my mind.
I think the scar does remain on. Like, it's surprising to me, like, even just talking about it now, getting emotional. So it's clearly, it's still there. I think it's not in everyday life. I feel like in New York, you see the new World Trade Center, which is really wonderful and amazing to see it rebuilt. But there's always, to me, when I look down there, there's, it's just different, and it's always in the back of my mind. And remembering the helicopters and all of the air traffic. If I hear, a plane going super low on the ground or whatever, there's always a certain feeling that's, unpleasant that is there. It's interesting if you talk to younger people who, were very young at that time or maybe not born, that are in their 20s now, it obviously doesn't carry the same weight, and people, oh yeah, September 11th, it's out there, but it doesn't carry the same weight, I think, that, certainly people that live through it in this country, and I think if you were here to witness it firsthand, it's much stronger in one's mind. Like, you go back in time, it was, I saw it in many ways. I wish that I didn't see it, because you can't unsee something like that, and it was horrible.
I don't think there will ever be closure until we get the phone call that they found part of him. Me and his mother have spoken about it. Do we want something back? Because that room down in the memorial, a lot of people didn't take parts back, and it's considered their burial place. And her and I spoke, and I told her I would take him, just to have him home again. So no, there's no closure yet. There's some kind of end to it. I mean, I know he's gone, but there's no closure.